Hotep, Senu, Hena, Senut, Et, Ren-I, Shakandugu Kemet. I hope there's no denial. You are happy like the Nile. This pre-recorded video is entitled Philosophy in Kemet, 2000 years before Greece. I'm quoting from the book called The Oldest Book in the World, Philosophy in the Age of the Pyramids. The author is Bill Manley. This work is dated 2023. On page 10, the author wrote, "The teaching of Ptah-hotep, written on a scroll discovered in Egypt, was first published as the world's oldest book in Paris in 1858. The teaching of Ptah-hotep soon gained a reputation as a gobbledygook, too difficult to translate, too obscure to read. Sir Alan Gardiner, the greatest modern scholar of the ancient Egyptian language, described the text as quite unintelligible. Before I pursue, this shows you how the knowledge of the Mother Nature evolved over the years. Some of you may not be familiar with Alan Gardiner, but he has a book considered a classic when it comes to the hieroglyphic, and it is called Egyptian Grammar. And for him to say that the teaching of Ptah-hotep was quite unintelligible shows you how much progress has been done, has been achieved in the knowledge of the Mother Nature. Let's continue. More than simply the oldest book, however, the teaching of Ptah-hotep is also the earliest complete statement of philosophy surviving from ancient Egypt, and its author even provides us with the Egyptian phrase Merut Nefret, that literally translates as philosophy, wanting wisdom, or wanting the ideal. In other words, the teaching is the oldest surviving philosophy book from anywhere in the world. Still on page 10, by contrast, the first few recorded scraps of classical Greek philosophy would not appear for nearly 2 millennia more. Nonetheless, the teaching of Ptah-hotep is philosophy in the fullest sense. Neither religious in character nor mythological in form, its commitment to fostering the love of wisdom and answering that perennial puzzle, the meaning of life, is explored as a list of concise, practical insights into the human condition and various conclusions we can reasonably deduce from these insights. Page 11. Ptah-hotep's teachings are not presented as statutes or commandments, but they do aim to guide the reader towards rewarding productive behavior and away from futile, self-destructive beliefs. As such, the teaching may be favorably compared to other wellsprings of modern civilization, such as Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, Plato's Republic, or Marcus Aurelius' Meditation. Meditation. Page 11 to 12. The meaning of life, Ptah-hotep concludes, is grounded in truth. I love that citation. And truth stands unaffected by time and apart from human intentions. His book is a guide to the human condition based on experiences and observations compiled by the oldest civilization of all. His only prescriptive statements insist we instinctively recognize human conduct that must always be wrong, such as pedophilia. Miriam Lichtam, on the other hand, noted that Ptahhotep's words touch upon the most important aspects of human relations, and the cardinal virtues are self-control, moderation, kindness, generosity, justice, and truthfulness tempered by discretion. Page 13. The final chapter of the present book presents why this happened, a sophisticated Egyptian account of meaning as part of the natural physics of the world, again composed many centuries before Aristotle would attempt the same exercise, such that every word as well as every action has a definite cause and a particular meaning. Page 25. Accordingly, for practical reasons, perhaps to do with organizing university courses as much as anything, it has since seemed convenient to treat philosophy books as an indigenous invention in the lost works of the earliest Greek philosophers like Thales and Anaximander. This attitude is epitomized in a tale widely known in the Middle Ages, whereby logical thought was invented by the Greek philosopher Parmenides, who happened to be sitting on a rock in Egypt at the time. Interestingly, this tale was interpreted by medieval scholars such as the educationalist Hugh of St. Victor, see page 9, to mean that Greek philosophy sat on the bedrock of Egyptian wisdom. Page 26 to 27. However, Ptahhotep and his contemporaries in the Old Kingdom some 45 centuries ago did more than slavishly pile up the stone for pyramids. They practiced town planning, organized agriculture on a municipal scale, recorded and posted their activities in written accounts of materials, labor, and progress, developed written traditions of government, law, and medicine, and purposefully embodied sophisticated mathematics within the spectacular monuments they built to celebrate the meaning of creation. For example, another book, almost as old as Papyrus Press, known today as the Rhind Mathematical Papyrus after its Scottish collector Alexander Henry Rhind, presents us with 84 mathematical problems and proofs, many of which evidently date back to the era of the Great Pyramid, centuries before the copy we actually have was produced. See page 20. To take a single instance of its insights, the formula for calculating the area of any circle as d19d square produces results within a let me just check on the book because obviously it looks like I've made a typo right there. I didn't mind the parenthesis that's missing after the page number, but here I want to get this right, so just give me one moment. So indeed, you're supposed to have the parenthesis here, then the dot, but it's actually 0. The typo is that it was supposed to be a 0 instead of an A. So let me start the sentence over again. To take a single instance of its insights, the formula for calculating the area of any circle as d1/9d squared produces results within a 0.6% of our own formula, PR squared. Perhaps we could usefully teach this in our schools today. Page 29. During the 5th century BC, Herodotus, the father of Western history, traced the very origins of civilization to Egypt. As recently as 400 years ago, the same train of thought was epitomized by the extraordinarily erudite works of Athanasius Kircher, the most learned savant of his age, who presupposed that there is authentic sacred wisdom in the heathen nations, especially in Egypt, as the cradle of arts and sciences. Page 58. Apart from these collections, it is remarkable how little else by way of early books has survived. So even this brief summary is sufficient to demonstrate that the first appearance of literature in books is a very specific archaeological phenomenon in Egypt. Page 68 to 69. Here's the point. We may love watching television programs about the relationship between these early people and the vast construction projects of the pyramids and sun temples associated with them. We may even succumb to the extraordinary racism involved in ascribing preternatural knowledge to them, such as may be found in the Grand Coff tradition of Freemasonry, or speculating whether ancient Africans required extraterrestrial intervention to achieve as much as they did. However, in doing so, we are still hugely underestimating the total scale of the urban industrial project the Egyptians were engaged in during the Old Kingdom. And finally, this is taken from the book. We have the credentials of the author being Manley. He is a lecturer, curator, and best-selling author. He taught the ancient Egyptian and Coptic languages for more than 30 years at the universities of London, Glasgow, and Liverpool, and was also senior curator for ancient Egypt at National Museum Scotland. He is co-director of Egyptologia Complutense, which is carrying out archaeological surveys in Egypt, and he has published books, catalogs, and scholarly articles covering subjects as diverse as ancient texts and archaeology, the history of Egyptology, and early Christian life in Egypt. His books include Egyptian Art in the World of Art series and Egyptian Hieroglyphs for Complete Beginners, both published by Thames and Hudson. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to buy the Necheru, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue, I state facts. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you do not think right, you will not act right. If you know better, you will do better. Do I to do a Necheru? Hotep.